Okay, so before we go into the pins, I always try to forget the little drilled hole there, so let's go ahead and put that in. There's no real dimension on it. It looks pretty well centered on that face and center line of the part, so we're going to go with that. And so I'll go back to shaded with edges, open up a sketch, or no, we need to be in the hole wizard. So S key and hole wizard. Control 8 will send us normal 2. And drilled hole 118 or 135 is fine. Really just making sure it, in this case, it doesn't go through. And my modification later on design review, we will probably end up changing that geometry just a bit. All right, so depth up to shoulder 0.125. Tip is in addition to. We have the 5/16. Okay, we'll go that way. And we're on the threaded side. I can see the cosmetic threads, so that helps a little bit. I want to, I will go ahead and place it. And then as long as I'm in that point tool, wherever I put a select and put a point, that's where there's going to be a hole. S key and center line, I will go centers of the slot, and then go to the midpoint and put that that geometry in. So looking at it from the side, have something that looks like that, and we can get on to the pins. So new part inch. Our pin then. Let's see, this is the chain handle. So 2 inches, 3/16 in diameter. Our choice is going to be, so let's double check this real quick. So no names on that one. Going to assume that the 5/16, and again with the tolerances, if all that's going to do is slide in there, then the 0.31 is fine, but we pretty much have a situation where this was toleranced at 0.313, and at 0.31 with a plus or minus 10, it goes from being either really loose to not fitting at all. So we're going to have to analyze that tolerance a little bit. And then the 3/16 through. Let's do this as a multi-body so that we have that. If you want to make the pin individual, the handle and whatnot, individual parts, that's fine. We'll take a look at this as I don't really want to make an assembly, and when we make these parts and once the pin is pressed into the screw, then they will be treated as a single unit. So I have to decide, do I want to create this as a revolve? And with the couple of steps, yeah, I'll probably go with the revolve then. S key, center line, infinite length, horizontal, and apply that to the origin. Go back to the S key and line. I think still think it's easier just to get out of it sometimes. And small step down over 2, getting kind of difficult to make the selection. And then we want to close it off, otherwise SOLIDWORKS will ask us to close it off. S key and dimension. And we want to make sure we're on the center line. If we go to that object line, it's only going to give us the radius. So we go to the center line, and that becomes 0.33. From a material selection, that works out to what, 11/32 on the fractional. That's not really a standard size or an easy size. I'm sure it's available, but 3/8 would be closer, and if we're turning this down, I would probably end up maybe at 350 or 360, so I'm not removing a lot of material, especially if there's not a clearance issue to contend with. So, oh, we're still in the radial, so cancel. And as long as I have that D, I need to escape. And so it's habit. I should have just gone down to the rest of the diameters. Kind of just working from left to right though. So pick the center line, major diameter of the 5/16 18, 0.313 is fine. And then the tip, they have at 0.13. And we're still in the diameter, so we'll stay with that, 0.13. Now I can escape out of that. And we'll put in the length, since these are changed dimensions, 1.13. And then the last bit is an overall, so choice is to go between the two verticals or just the object line, 1.95. All right, so we still have the lines in blue. So we'll need to grab those and see how they move, and usually it is going to be a vertical or horizontal relation that we're going to need to add. And that one went vertical, so we're ready to revolve. Features, revolve boss base. Since there's only one center line, it finds it automatically, 360 degrees. Go ahead and accept it. The through hole, we'll do the chamfers last. Let's go back to the right plane. Oh, sorry, the front plane. Open up our sketch. Okay, should have just gone with the right click, but we go this way. Make sure that I'm making the selections. We'll look for the inference line. This one's going to be 0.19. And again, we're going to need to look at the stack up of tolerances, because if the pin is 0.19, or that's a purchased rod, it's probably going to be 0.19, maybe minus 2 thousandths. So we're going to have to determine what kind of fit that we want this to have in order to make sure that the maximum number of parts will assemble and go together. All right, so we'll stay with the 0.19. Go ahead and extrude cut. And we'll go through both directions so that it makes the hole all the way through. I can select, and doesn't really matter, we'll go to the end, 10 thousandths edge break on the one side and 30 thousandths lead edge break on the other. All right, so here's where we come back to the cosmetic thread. If we put the chamfer in, and then the leading edge of the chamfer gets selected for the cosmetic thread. Insert annotation, it's down here somewhere, cosmetic thread. It finds the 5/16 18. We're in ANSI inch machine threads. 5/16 18 gives us the minor diameter. Up to next, hopefully we'll stop there, class 2A. My habit is to uncheck the show type when I recognize it, and we go ahead and accept. All right, so looking at that, we can see the minor diameter finds its way all the way through, and the cosmetic thread gets added to the revolve. All right, so we'll save this. And we'll stay with the naming for the chain screw. And I said I wanted to put the other handle in, so one of the advantages of doing that now is we can start to look at that stack up and some of the interferences. All right, so if I go back to the cut revolve, I can certainly share this. So if I convert that geometry in, convert entities, or come back up to the sketch and convert entities. Oh, okay, got the sketch open. Let's discard that. That would be if I wanted a separate sketch. Let's go to the current sketch and do an extrude boss base. All right, so now I can pick the region. Don't really want sketch 2 there, so we'll pick the region or the contour. The distance of that pin we said was 2 inches. I do not want to merge the result, and I do want it to be midplane. So we have that geometry included, and now we'll have 2 separate solid bodies, and we can manage those a couple of different ways. So since this is basically going to be an assembled part, typically I'm going to press these 2 pieces together and they're going to stay engaged, but maybe not always. So if we want it to slide back and forth, then we're really going to have to take a look at those tolerances and make sure that we have that slip fit. All right, so save. And then the last piece will be the handle or the pin. So new part inch. This one doesn't really need to be a revolve. We have the 1/8 inch round on the end, so we'll just go ahead and make a cylinder circle. I can put in the 0.31 and enter, and then we'll extrude that out 1.75, and it's not going to be mid-plane, it'll be blind. I'll reverse the direction, go ahead and accept it, pick that bottom edge, fillet 130, and we accept it, and then I can save it as the chain handle. All right, so that gives us our basic components. We're ready to go on to the assembly.